My name is Jessica. I've been married to Mike for 3 years. Our relationship has always been a bit of a tightrope walk. I love Mike. He's kind and gentle, and he always means well. But there is one problem: his mother, Helen. Helen is, well, she's a force to be reckoned with. She's loud, demanding, and never hesitates to remind me that I'm not good enough for her precious son. Ever since we got married, I've been the target of her constant criticism. It doesn't matter how much effort I put into cooking, cleaning, or just being a good wife. In her eyes, I'm always lacking. It's not like I haven't tried. I've gone out of my way to make peace, thinking that maybe, just maybe, one day she'll accept me. But no matter what I do, it's never enough. The hardest part? Mike never stands up for me. He just avoids conflict. It's like he's still a little boy, afraid of his mother's disapproval. I guess I've been trying to convince myself that it's okay, that enduring Helen's harsh words is just part of being in this family. But deep down, I know it's not right. I shouldn't have to tiptoe around just to keep the peace. Today, we're going to a luxury spa resort to celebrate George's 65th birthday. George is Mike's dad, a quiet, gentle man who loves gardening. He's the kind of person who never raises his voice, no matter how much Helen nags him. He's been through a lot, and I really wanted to make this trip special for him. It's rare for Helen to plan something like this, though. She usually doesn't care much about his birthdays. So why now? Something about it doesn't sit right with me, but I pushed my doubts aside, hoping for the best. Even before we left, the tension was palpable. I was loading the last of the bags into the car when I heard Helen's voice, sharp and critical as always. "Jessica, are you really planning to wear that to the resort? What are you thinking? We're going to a luxury place, not some run-down motel. You look like you're dressed to clean the garbage, not to enjoy a nice weekend." I'm sorry. I just thought this would be comfortable for the drive. Comfortable? Honestly, I'm embarrassed to be seen with you. Mike, how could you let her walk out like this? You're just letting her make a fool out of you. Mom, it's not that big of a deal. Not a big deal? We're going to the best resort in the area. What are people going to think when they see her looking like that? I raised you to have better taste than this. Mike didn't respond, just shuffled his feet and looked away. That's his way, avoiding conflict at all costs. And me? I just bit my tongue like always. It's easier than making it a fight. But deep down, I could feel something inside me snapping. I didn't know how much longer I could take this. A few days before the trip, I got a call from my younger brother, Tom. Tom's always been the protective type, ever since we were kids. He knows me better than anyone else. "Hey Jess, you doing okay?" "Yeah, just getting ready for the trip this weekend. We're going to that fancy spa resort for George's birthday." "Sounds too good to be true." Helen's not usually one to plan something nice for George. What's the catch? That's what I've been thinking. I don't know why she's so enthusiastic about it. Listen, I've seen how she treats you. I wouldn't be surprised if she's planning something. So Emily and I made a decision. We're booking a room at the same resort. Wait, really? Well, you don't have to do that. Jess, we're not letting you go through this alone. Knowing Helen, I wouldn't put it past her to pull something nasty. We'll be there, just in case. We'll make sure you have a good time, no matter what she tries. You deserve to enjoy yourself, Jess. I couldn't help but smile. Having Tom and his girlfriend Emily there made me feel like I wasn't walking into a trap alone. For once, I felt like I had allies. Maybe this trip wouldn't be a total disaster after all. I could finally breathe a little easier. After a long, intense drive, we finally arrived at the resort. It was stunning, nestled between tall pine trees, with steaming spa visible from the lobby windows. The air was crisp, and I could already feel some of the stress melting away. But that calm didn't last long. As we stepped into the grand entrance, Helen suddenly turned to me, her voice piercing through the peaceful atmosphere. "Jessica, I hope you didn't get your hopes up too high. You're not staying here." "What? What do you mean?" "I didn't book a room for you. This place is too nice for someone like you. Honestly, you should have just stayed home. If you're so desperate, you can sleep in the car." "But I thought we were all staying together. This is George's birthday trip." "Family only, Jessica. And newsflash, you're not real family. You're just a woman who tricked my son into marrying you. Mom, maybe we can figure something out. No, Mike. You've always given in to her nonsense. This time, she needs to understand her place. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. Tears stung my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Just as I was about to walk back to the car in defeat, I heard a familiar voice behind me. Actually, Jessica does have a room. I made the reservation. Excuse me? Why would you do that? Because I knew you'd pull some petty stunt like this. Emily and I are staying here too, and Jessica is our guest. You can't just exclude her like that, Helen. It's George's birthday, and Jessica has every right to be here. You two. You planned this behind my back? No, we planned to make sure Jessica wouldn't be stranded. This isn't high school, Helen. You can't just bully people and expect everyone to go along with it. Just when it seemed like things had settled down, chaos erupted the next morning. I was sitting with Emily on the patio, enjoying a quiet breakfast, when George stumbled toward us, pale and visibly shaken. Jessica, I think I messed up. The car, it's completely wrecked. What? Are you hurt? No, just really shaken. I was trying to park, but the brakes didn't work right. It just crashed into the guardrail. What's this racket about? George? What did you do to the car? It was an accident. The brakes didn't work. Before the argument could escalate further, a tall man in a police uniform approached us. He had a stern, no-nonsense expression. Mr. George, I'm Chief Brown. I need to discuss the damage to the property. Since your insurance doesn't cover it, you'll have to pay for the repairs out of pocket. The resort management also mentioned that they might press charges for the property damage. Oh no. How are we going to afford that? About that. Mom, remember when you said the full coverage insurance was a waste of money? We only have basic liability. What? You switched the policy? You told me to. You said it was unnecessary to pay that much. Oh, don't pin this on me. It's your fault for not thinking it through. This is all Jessica's fault. If she had driven, this wouldn't have happened. Helen, that doesn't even make sense. George was driving, not me. Blaming me won't solve this. Ma'am, there's no need to shift blame. We need to handle this responsibly. For once, Helen had no comeback. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. It was almost satisfying to see her at a loss for words. Enough. Helen, I'm done with this. I can't take being blamed for everything anymore. I'll sell the house to pay for the damages. You can't do that. The house is mine. No, it's ours. But I can't keep living like this. Always afraid, always getting blamed. I've spent my whole life trying to keep you happy, but I've lost myself in the process. George, you wouldn't really leave me. I have to. If I don't stand up now, I never will. You've controlled me for decades, and I let you. But I'm done. Dad, please, don't do this. Mike, I love you, but you need to see how toxic this has become. You've watched your mother treat Jessica horribly, and you did nothing. You need to learn to stand up for what's right. Helen stood there frozen, her eyes filled with a mixture of disbelief and fear. I'd never seen her like this, powerless and defeated. Part of me felt sorry for her, but another part of me knew this was long overdue. George finally found his voice, and it was stronger than any of her screams. In the days that followed, George kept true to his word. He called a real estate agent and started the process of selling the house. Helen was beside herself, alternating between pleading and threatening. But George didn't waver. For the first time in his life, he refused to bend to Helen's demands. Mike, caught between his parents, seemed utterly lost. He tried talking sense into his father, but George just looked at him with sad, tired eyes. Mike, I've spent my whole life putting up with your mother's temper. I thought it was easier to just stay quiet to avoid the argument. But in doing that, I let her turn into someone cruel and controlling. I'm done enabling that. You need to understand that being a man doesn't mean just keeping the peace. It means standing up for the people you love, even if it's hard. I never thought of it that way. Mike, you've always just gone along with whatever your mom wanted. But sometimes keeping the peace means letting someone else suffer. I can't do that anymore. Mike didn't respond. He just sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. It was like watching a boy who just realized he'd done something terribly wrong. For the first time, I saw the guilt and regret in his eyes. But it didn't matter anymore. I knew I couldn't stay in this toxic environment. Back in our room, I started packing my things. Emily came in, seeing my wary expression, and immediately pulled me into a hug. You did it, Jess. You stood up for yourself. I'm so proud of you. I didn't want it to end like this. I thought maybe Mike would finally see the truth. But he's still so stuck. Sometimes people don't change until they lose something important. Maybe this will be the wake-up call he needs. Hey, sis, I just talked to George. He's going to stay with a friend for a while. He said to thank you for giving him the courage to finally stand up to his wife. I didn't think I could do it. But when I saw how George was suffering too, I just couldn't stay quiet anymore. That's the Jessica I know. Strong, resilient, and finally done being walked all over. That night, Mike came to our room, eyes red and swollen. He sat down on the floor, looking up at me with a vulnerability I hadn't seen in years. Jessica, I know I messed up. I know I should have stood up for you, for Dad, for us. But I just didn't know how. Mike, I loved you because you were kind and gentle. But your kindness turned into weakness when it mattered most. I kept hoping you'd change. That you'd finally see how much your mom's behavior was hurting everyone. But you didn't. Please, don't leave. I'll try harder. I'll change. Maybe you will. But I can't be the one waiting for that to happen anymore. I've lost too much of myself trying to make this work. I need to take care of me now. Mike just sat there defeated. He didn't argue, didn't beg. It was as if he finally understood that his passivity had consequences. I left the next morning. Tom and Emily helped me move back to my hometown. They insisted I stay with them until I found a place of my own. It was comforting to be around people who genuinely cared. No more walking on eggshells. No more pretending that everything was okay. It felt like I could finally breathe. One evening, while sorting through old boxes, I found a photo from my wedding day. Mike looked so happy, his arm around me, Helen hovering just behind him. I realized that back then, I was too blinded by love to see the warning signs. I put the photo away. It wasn't worth dwelling on the past. I had a future to build. About a month later, I got a call from George. He sounded different, lighter, almost cheerful. Jessica, you'll never believe it. I started working at a local garden center. It's just part-time, but it feels good to do something I enjoy. And you know what? I'm even thinking of getting a small apartment nearby. Oh, that's amazing, George. You sound happy. I didn't realize how suffocating it was until I finally got out. Thank you for being the catalyst. I owe you my new life. Just promise me you'll plant some flowers and not let Helen near them. Deal. After Georgie left, Helen struggled to manage on her own. The house payments became overwhelming, and without George's income, she couldn't keep up. Eventually, the house was foreclosed. She moved into a small, rundown apartment, constantly complaining about how ungrateful everyone was. Her social circle shrank as friends grew tired of her endless blame game. Mike, too, faced his own hardships. Without my income and support, he struggled to maintain his lifestyle. He moved back in with Helen, both of them bitter and resentful. They spent their days blaming each other for their ruined lives, too stubborn to admit their own mistakes. Their once pristine image shattered, and neither of them knew how to start over. As for me, I found a new job at an event planning company. It was something I'd always wanted to do. Organizing, creating beautiful settings, making people happy. I felt fulfilled, confident, and finally in control of my own life. Tom and Emily got married a few months later. It was a simple ceremony, full of laughter and love. I couldn't help but feel a little emotional watching them exchange vows, knowing they'd always have each other's backs. One night, as I sat on my cozy new couch with a cup of hot chocolate, I reflected on everything that had happened. Leaving Mike wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I learned that love isn't about just enduring hardship for the sake of it. It's about standing up for yourself when no one else will. And it's about choosing happiness, even when it means letting go of the past. I'm no longer the timid woman who let Helen's words chip away at her confidence. I'm stronger now, and I finally know my worth.